Hello, welcome back to How to RV. I am Jason, and I want to talk about how our solar system is doing with the lithium battery and all that install. So if you've been following along, you've seen where we've been talking about this system. We talked about the lithium battery, we've talked about the components that we're going to install, we've talked about everything up to this point, but how it's actually doing. And I want to talk about that today because we have everything up and running, and we have the solar plugged in and running today also. But before I do that, I'm going to head back into the RV because it is over 100 degrees today, and well, it's hot out here. All right, now that we're back in the RV, it's much cooler and a little easier to talk to you fellas and not be melting out there. So first off, the video today is sponsored by Enduro Power. They're the company that sent us the 200 amp hour battery and helped us get together the system that we have installed today. So if you're interested in getting into lithium batteries and get away from that lead acid battery that you may have, then go back and look at the videos that are in this series. And the reason that I say that is because there's tons of information there, some of the things that you may need to watch out for if you decide to go from lead acid to lithium. Also, if you're interested in making that change, then I'll leave a link to their website down below. You can also contact them for more information if you're curious to how all that system may work out for you in your RV. Also, if you're interested in understanding what lithium capabilities can do for you in your RV versus the lead acid battery, then leave in the comments down below any information that you would like to hear about. And since we're on the topic about comments, if you watched the last video, I started something new, and that is adding your comments at the end of these videos to where I can read them and then we can talk about it. So with that being said, make sure you fill up the comments down below on this video and we can talk about it in the future videos to come. All right, to talk about how the solar system is doing for us thus far. In some of the tests that I've done already, I can see where I am pulling solar power in, meaning I am charging the battery while I am using it. So the whole purpose behind the solar is to be able to use my camper off-grid, meaning I'm not hooked up to shore power. I have no external power coming in whatsoever. The battery is running the inverter, which is running the camper all by itself without being plugged in externally anywhere. So I went out today, turned all the 12-volt system stuff on that I would typically use. What I wanted to see is how well is the solar keeping up and actually charging the battery. So if you look right over here, you'll see where I hooked up the solar. What I wanted to show you is if you look over here, you'll see the negative amps and the negative watts. The reason for that, it means that the camper is pulling more electricity out from the battery than the battery is being recharged by. So now swapping sides of the screen. If you look at the negative amps and watts, you'll see where they'll start to climb. The reason that they're doing that is because I've hooked in one solar panel and then I hooked into the next solar panel. Once I have both solar panels connected, you'll see where the amps and the watts start to climb. I get up to about 8 amps and you see here it goes from a negative to a positive, and now I am starting to charge the battery more than the RV is consuming. Now, when I first started this test, it was early in the morning, so the sun wasn't directly overhead yet, so the solar panels weren't picking up as much sun as it could because the angle of the sun and the angle of the solar panels weren't exactly the same just yet. Now, as the day goes on and the sun starts to rise a little bit higher and getting a little more aligned with my solar panels, you can see right over here where we started to pull more around 18 amps. So as the battery's charging, I'm putting back 18 amps an hour, so now I'm charging the battery and I'm pushing more electricity back than the RV is consuming itself. This test is being done without the inverter being in use just yet. The reason that I want to do this test without the inverter actually running is because if you're going to be off-grid and you don't care to have shore power, then this is about the system that you would be running because you're going to only be using the 12-volt side itself. In some of the more recent RVs, they started going to refrigerators that are 12-volt, and they have your water heater that can be ran off of 12-volt and propane and other things inside of your RV, including your lights. So if you look over here, when I have everything disconnected, I don't even have the solar running, you'll see about 6 amps being pulled. The reason that that is about 6 amps is because I have all the lights inside of my RV turned on. I have the fridge running on 12 volt, and because of that, that's what's pulling the 6 amps. And because the solar panels haven't been hooked up to charge the batteries just yet, you can see how much power the RV is consuming from the 12 volt side. Now I know you may want to know how it's going with the camper, running the inverter and all that stuff, and we'll get into another video talking about the shore power side and plugging things up and what kind of consumption that is and how long will the battery last. Now I know some of you may ask, how is the air conditioner going to do inside of the RV running off of this system? And we'll get into that in another video. So in short, you can see right here where the solar panels are actually pushing electricity back into the RV, and it's doing so from the solar panels to the solar charge controller and then from a wire back to the battery to charge everything back up. So with the initial test here, everything is working just like I wanted it to. No errors on the system whatsoever. Everything everything's plugged up, solar panels are doing their job, and the battery is recharging. On to the comments from one of the previous videos. All right, from the video Solar and Lithium Components for a Travel Trailer, there's a comment from Bob Latuga, and if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. That's the best I got. You will need to put in a shutoff to the converter so that when you plug in your converter, and I think you meant inverter here, it's not trying to charge your battery. So you're absolutely right, Bob. If I plug the RV into itself running through the inverter and I turn all that system on, it's going to try to run the converter, which is going to try to charge the battery, and all that electricity is a loss because you don't want the battery running a system and then recharging itself because it's just lost power that you don't need to consume. So what I plan on doing in the short interim here is I'll go over to my circuit breaker panel, I'll turn off the circuit that goes to the converter, that way it won't run if I'm just running everything off the battery and the inverter itself. Another comment from Joseph Bruna. Hey, I've been watching your channel for a while. Very good info. Thank you for saying that. Maybe I missed it, but where is your solar charge controller? I live in a Lance 1181 pickup truck camper. I have 300 watts of solar and I also plug my 30 amp RV cord into my inverter. I keep my fridge on propane. The only thing I always have to remember is to turn off my converter before I use my solar. So here's another comment talking about the converter. Just like Bob had said, yes, we have to make sure that we turn the power off to the converter so that we're not using up power. Also because these are portable solar panels. So they're made by Renogy. They're portable. They're 200 watts each, and each one of them have their own 20 amp solar charge controller that comes with the panels themselves. So yes, I have two 200 watt portable solar panels. Each one of them have a 20 amp solar charge controller connected to them, and both of those are ran to the camper and charging the battery itself. And then one last comment from Tamara Scholes, and I hope I got your name right also. So Tamara says, so will your battery power your 12 volt system as well without plugging into the inverter to the shore power plug? This is very intriguing too because it seems like an easier way to set it up that could be easily upgraded as well as moved to another rig as you shared. So in my case, yes, the 12 volt system will run just like it would if I hadn't even swapped out a battery. So the lead acid battery that I had before, where all that was plugged in, I just swapped it out with a lithium battery and it all runs just the same as it would before. And as far as the inverter goes, all that's going to do is turn on shore power or give me the ability to have shore power. So I just plug in and now I can plug things up inside the camper or run a microwave or something like that, which does draw more off of the battery. But as to your question, the 12 volt side of the RV hasn't changed any at all. It just now has a lithium battery that can be recharged by a solar system itself. All right, so that wraps up the video today. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. And as always, enjoy your RV, enjoy your solar systems, and God bless.